and welcome to Simply Made by Erin, my crochet channel. Today we're making this adorable spike stitch basket and tray pattern. The pattern comes in two sizes. This is the basket, which is about 9 inches across and about 3 inches tall. And then the tray, this is the largest tray I've made so far. This is about 14 inches across and the same height, 3.5 inches. These come with leather handles. The handles are optional. This is the first time I use leather handles too, and I really love how it turned out. So you can do it this style, or you can add just like a cute little handle like this. I'll show you how to do the handles a little bit later. You can also skip the handles and just add a little logo tag or whatever you like. So these sizes are really nice. The yarn that I used was Lion Brand Re-Spun Thick and Quick. This is 100% recycled polyester, and it uses 2 strands held together. This is the color Hazelwood, which is shown in this basket right here. And then the cream color, I'll put it on the screen. I think it was called Marshmallow. And then the orange color is called Squash. So the Re-Spun Thick and Quick is a size 6 super bulky yarn. Like I said before, you do need 2 strands held together of that. And besides the yarn, you'll need an 8mm crochet hook, a tapestry needle to weave your ends in. You guys know I love this blunt tip needle with the big thick end, scissors, a measuring tape to check your gauge, a few stitch markers. And then as far as all the tags and straps go, if you just want to do a little logo or decorative tag, I'll link below where I get all these tags. So that's an easy option. As far as the handles go, I just use these strips of leather. I got this bag from Michael's. The leather is 1.5 inches wide, but you can do any width you want. You could do 1 to 1.5. I think 1 inch would be fine as well. This was 42 inches, so it created quite a few straps for me. And then the little screws to screw them on are just Chicago screws, which are the same screws that I use to screw these little tags on. I've talked about them a lot before, but the Chicago screws are found on Amazon and they come in a bunch of different sizes. I like this assortment kit because it comes in several different lengths. And for the handles and the thicker yarn, sometimes you need these taller lengths. I think I used the 12 or 15mm, whereas these little tags, I think I usually use the 10mm. So that's good to have. You'll need some kind of a hole punch to punch the little holes that you secure the leather strap with. And I have this craft punch that I've had for ages. I ended up using the 3/16 size hole punch, but any kind of hole or leather punch you have should be fine. And I think that's about it. I'm gonna get set up and we're going to work on the basket size today, but I'm gonna give you instructions on how to increase the size to the tray size as well. Okay, so let's get started on the basket size, the smaller basket size. So this is a pretty basic, easy pattern. The spike stitch is a little bit different, so I'll teach you how to do that. But the base is just worked in half double crochet with a traditional increase method. So we want to start with 2 strands held together. I'm going with this green color. I'll put it on the screen. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's olive, probably. Anyway, you just need a tail long enough to weave your ends in, and then we're going to create a magic circle or a magic ring. So I just take the yarn and wrap it around my finger twice. Then I insert the hook under all the loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, chain 1 to secure, and then 1 more chain. Okay, and we are going to do 10 half double crochet in the circle, and this will be the same for both sizes. So yarn over, insert your hook into the circle, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the 3 loops on your hook. Again, yarn over, insert your hook into the circle, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 3. Just repeat that around until you have 10 total stitches. If you want, you can mark the first stitch of the round with a stitch marker. We're joining each round, so it's not as necessary on the base, but when we start the spike stitch on the sides, I will show you where I like to mark the stitches. Okay, so round 1 is complete. I pulled these ends tight to close that circle. You can weave this in whenever you're ready. And we're just going to join with a slip stitch to the beginning half double crochet. Skip over those chains and slip stitch right into the first half double crochet. Make sure you get under all the loops. And then before you finish the half double crochet, take the working yarn, the loop on your hook, and just pull it tight, and then complete that half double crochet, or sorry, that slip stitch. That just creates a less visible seam. This bump right here can get kind of large with the thick yarn, and it just makes it a little smaller so the seam's a little bit less noticeable. That's just kind of a trick I do when I'm working in the round. Okay, so the next round is just a basic increase. The same instructions for both sides, the basket and the tray. Chain 1, and then we're going to half double crochet in that same stitch that we joined with a slip stitch. So the first stitch, we're going to work 2 half double crochet in that first stitch. So there's 1, and then 2. And we repeat that all the way around. So 2 half double crochet in the next stitch, 2 in the next stitch, and you'll have a total of 20 half double crochet in round 2. Okay, there's our 20 stitches in round 2. Exact same thing, we join with a slip stitch to that beginning half double crochet, pull the yarn, the working yarn a little bit tight. Okay, and round 3 is another increase. We chain 1, half double crochet in that first stitch, which is the same stitch that we joined with a slip stitch, and then 2 half double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, repeat that. 1 half double crochet in the next, 2 half double crochet in the next. We'll have a total of 30 stitches, and round 3 is also the same for both the tray and the basket. Okay, round 3 is complete. Exactly the same, we just join with a slip stitch to that beginning half double crochet, and then if you want to check your gauge here, you can. It should be about 4.5 inches across. We're spot on. So for these baskets, it is a little hard on your hands if you're not used to the really thick yarn and the smaller hook, but you need a really tight stitch to create a sturdy basket. So the more baskets you do, the more you'll get used to it. It is a little tough, but I've been doing basket for years and my hands have gotten a lot stronger. So just keep going, you'll get used to it. Make sure it's nice and tight. Okay, so round 4, another increase round. So chain 1, half double crochet in the first stitch, half double crochet in the second stitch, and then 2 half double crochet in that third stitch. Okay, and then just repeat that all the way around. 1 half double crochet in the next, 1 half double crochet in the next, and then 2 half double crochet in the next stitch. So round 4, you'll have a total of 40 stitches once you finish the round, and it's also the same for the basket and the tray. Okay, round 4 is complete. Again, join with a slip stitch Okay, for round 5, another increase. Round 5 is the same for the tray and the basket. So chain 1, half double crochet in the first 3 stitches. So 1, half double crochet in the next, 2, half double crochet in the next, 3. And then in the 4th stitch, it will be 2 half double crochet. Okay, and then just repeat that sequence, half double crochet in the next 3 stitches. And then 2 half double crochet in the next. So round 5, you'll have a total of 50 stitches. Okay, so here's what round 5 is looking like. The piece should be laying nice and flat. If the last round is kind of curling a little bit like that, that's fine. But for the most part, it should be laying nice and flat and not wavy at all. If it's a little bit wavy, you might need to tighten the stitches up a little bit. Okay, so again, we're joining that last round with a slip stitch. And then we have one more round for the basket size. So round 6, it's the same for the basket and the tray. Chain 1, half double crochet in the first 4 stitches. So that's 2, 3, and 4. And then 2 half double crochet in the 5th stitch. Okay, and then just repeat that all the way around. So half double crochet in the next 4 stitches. Three, 4, and then 2 half double crochet in the next. Okay, so on round 6, you'll have a total of 60 stitches after you're finished. Okay, so we finished round 6. I joined with a slip stitch. The base should measure about 9 inches across at this point. We're spot on. So you want it as close to that as it can be so that you know your basket's gonna be as sturdy as mine. Okay, so for the basket size, the smaller basket, we're gonna stop here and start working on the sides. If you're working on that large tray, you have 4 more rounds of increases before you start the sides. So I'm gonna put the instructions for the next 4 rounds on the screen, but I'm gonna explain a little bit to you. We're just gonna continue doing a basic increase. So for round 7, you would half double crochet in the next 5 stitches and then 2 half double crochet in the next stitch. Repeat that around for a total of 70 half double crochet. Round 8, half double crochet in the next 6, 2 half double crochet in the next, repeat that for a total of 80. Round 9 is half double crochet in the next 7 stitches, then 2 half double crochet for that increase, repeat that for 90 half double crochet. And then the last round will have 100 stitches and it will be half double crochet in the next 8 stitches, 2 half double crochet in the next, which creates the increase. Repeat that around for 100 total half double crochet. And the base should measure about 14 inches across. The rest of the pattern is followed exactly the same for both sizes. You'll just have a larger stitch count on the tray. The tray will be 100 stitches, whereas the basket will be only 60 stitches. So let's get started on the sides. So it'll be round 7 for the basket and round 11 for the tray. Okay, so we join with a slip stitch. Now we're gonna chain 1. We're gonna half double crochet in that same stitch as the chain 1. So half double crochet in the next stitch, which is the same as the first stitch. Then we're gonna chain 1, and then we're gonna skip the next stitch. So skip the second stitch and then half double crochet in the next stitch. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, and then just repeat that all the way around. So half double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, half double crochet. Chain 1. Okay, so let me go a little bit slower. Okay, so this stitch right here would be the stitch that we're skipping. We're gonna half double crochet in this next stitch. So we did the chain 1, skip that stitch, half double crochet. Okay, chain 1, skip the next stitch, half double crochet. Okay, we're gonna repeat that all the way around. For 60 total stitches, there'll be 30 half double crochets and 30 chains. And each of those half double crochets should have a skipped stitch in between. One thing I want to mention when working on basket patterns, you want to make sure that the right side is facing you when you work. So if you have the basket like this, the base is turned this way and the stitches are facing you like this, the basket's inside out. When you finish this, all the stitches that you're working that are facing you are going to be the inside of the basket. So you need to make sure you have it flipped the right way. So the wrong side of the basket is going to be the inside. So this right here is the wrong side of the basket. The right side of the basket is on the outside. Do you see the stitches there? Okay. So the wrong side will be the inside of the basket so that when you're working, the right side shows on the outside. Okay, so the base should be facing away from you like this, not towards you. I know it's kind of confusing. I hope I explained that well, but one of the biggest issues I see when people are working my basket patterns is that they end up being inside out. If you want to work this way, you can. You just need to make sure you flip it right side out at some point. Okay, so I'm going to finish this round of the side and then I'll meet you back here at the end. Okay, so round 7 is complete. This is kind of what it's looking like. It's not crazy sturdy yet, but it will get there. So I ended the last stitch with a half double crochet, chain 1, and then skip 1. So the last stitch of that round will be skipped, and then you join with a slip stitch to the beginning half double crochet. Okay, so round 8 is where it gets a little trickier. We're gonna start that spike stitch, and I'm gonna show you a technique at the beginning to create kind of a seamless, it's gonna create a seamless join as we go on. You'll see what I mean. Okay, so we want to work into the chain space. So here's that first half double crochet from that round we just completed. And then we did a chain 1 here. That chain 1, the space under the chain 1 is called a chain space. So instead of working in the top of the stitch where these little V's are created, we're gonna work in the chain space. So you work all the way around the stitches right there into that chain space. So a chain space was created everywhere where we did the chain, and then there's that skipped stitch underneath. So the gap is the chain space, and then right below is where we skipped a stitch. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is slip stitch into that chain space. We want to work a very loose slip stitch. So pull that loop on your hook up just a little bit, insert your hook into that chain space, yarn over, pull up a loop, elongate that loop a little bit, and then pull through. Okay, mark that slip stitch with the stitch marker. Do not forget to mark this because we're gonna have to work into that stitch later, and it's a lot easier to see if you mark it. Okay, now we're gonna chain 1, and we're going to do what's called a spike double crochet. So a spike double crochet is basically exactly the same as a regular double crochet, but we're working it in the round below our current round, so we have to elongate the double crochet. So for this pattern, we are working 1 round in the skip stitches, 1 round below the current round. So the current round is right here, the round we just completed, and that's where we'd work all of our stitches into. We're gonna go 1 round below. So for the basket pattern, it's gonna be that skip stitch from round 6. Okay, so we're gonna yarn over, just like a traditional double crochet, insert our hook into that skip stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and this is where we wanna elongate the loop. So pull the loop until your hook is horizontal. You don't want it like this. You want to pull it until your hook is nice and straight and horizontal. And then we just complete like a regular double crochet. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Okay, and that is a spike double crochet. Okay, and then we're going to chain 1 and then skip the next stitch. So we're going to skip over the half double crochets from the previous round. Okay, and then we're going to do another spike stitch in that skipped stitch from round 6. So again, there's the chain 1, there's the chain space, here's the skipped stitch that we're going to work the spikes in. So we're going to repeat that all the way around. Okay, so yarn over, insert your hook into that skip stitch, yarn over, pull up an elongated loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, then chain 1 and skip that next stitch. Okay, just repeat that all the way around. So essentially, you're just going to be working in those skipped stitches. You're not going to work in any of the half double crochets from the previous round. Okay, so repeat that all the way around. You'll have a total of 60 stitches. 30 are the spike stitch and 30 are chains. If you're working on the tray, you'll have 100 total. Okay, so we're at the end of round 8 and we have 1 stitch left, 1 skipped stitch left right here. And we just work a spike double crochet and then a chain 1 in that last stitch. Okay. And then here's the mark stitch. We're going to set that aside for now, leave that stitch marker on, and you're just going to join with a slip stitch to the beginning spike double crochet. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Okay, so round 9 is exactly the same as round 8, but at the end of the round, we're going to be working in this mark stitch. So let me show you. So first we're going to slip stitch in that first chain space right here. So we want kind of a loose slip stitch. We're going to mark that slip stitch like we did in the previous round. Okay, and just like before, we're going to chain 1 and then spike double crochet in the skipped stitch in the previous round, sorry. So it's way down here. Okay, and then chain 1 and skip the next stitch. So the next stitch on this round that we're skipping is the spike double crochet. So we're going to skip over that one, and then we're going to spike double crochet in the next skipped stitch. So it'd be down here. Sometimes you have to kind of push the spikes over to get into that skip stitch. But you're always working into the skip stitch. And then chain one. Okay, again, skip over this stitch, go into that next stitch, and create that spike double crochet. Okay, and then just repeat that all the way around. And when you get to that last stitch, stop, and I will meet you back here in just a minute. Okay, so I just finished, or almost finished round 9. So you repeat round 8, so it's just working the spike double crochet and chain 1 and all the skip stitches around, ending with a spike double crochet and chain 1 in the last stitch. So the last stitch of round 9 is where this mark stitch is, right here. So it's the mark stitch from the previous round. So you can go ahead and remove that stitch, or that stitch marker. That's where you created that slip stitch. And then you just do your last spike double crochet into that slip stitch, chain 1, and then skip over that mark stitch and join to the beginning spike double crochet. Just like that. And that's how you join the round. Okay, so round 10, I believe we're on. Yes, round 10 is just repeating round 8 again, and you'll work your last stitch in this marked stitch. So let me go over the beginning one more time. So we're gonna slip stitch into that first chain space. So that loose slip stitch, and then you're gonna mark your stitch again. Okay, and then chain 1, spike double crochet in that skipped stitch. The skip stitch from the previous round, or 2 rounds below. So it's 1 round below the current round. So this is the current round, this is the round before. So this round would be 9, this would be round 8. So we're working into round 8. And it's the top of the double crochet spike. So again, you might have to kind of push the spike stitch out of the way to find the top of your stitch. Just like that, chain 1, let's do 1 more. Okay, and then skip over that stitch. Again, find the top. Chain 1. Okay, repeat that all the way around. This last stitch, you'll work a spike stitch and then a chain 1. Okay, so we're back around, working that last stitch into this mark stitch right here. So remove the mark stitch, and then work a spike double crochet, and then a chain 1. Okay, and then we are going to join with a slip stitch to the beginning spike double crochet, which is right here. Okay, and this is going to be our last round for both the basket and the tray. They're both the same height. So the last round's gonna have slip stitches, so it's gonna tighten things up a bit. If yours seems really loose and maybe kind of wavy, kind of work this next round kind of tight. But this is what it should be. It's not, you can see it's a little bit unsturdy. Oh, and I forgot to mention, so you will have 60 total stitches for the basket, 100 for the tray. Again, it would be 30 spike double crochet and 30 chains. And then for the tray, it would be 50 spike double crochet and 50 chains all the way around. Okay. So we're going to chain one. That chain one counts kind of as a slip stitch because we're going to spike double crochet and slip stitch all the way around. So that first chain one counts as the first slip stitch. So you can go ahead and mark that if you need to, but it doesn't really need to be marked. Okay, and now we're going to spike double crochet in the next skip stitch. Okay, and then slip stitch in the next stitch. So we're not chaining or skipping in this round. So we're going right into the top of that next stitch, which is the spike double crochet from the previous round, and we're gonna slip stitch. Okay, and then spike double crochet in that next skip stitch. And this fills in those gaps, the chain space gaps that the spike stitches give us. So it fills in those gaps, so it creates a nice look. Okay, so then slip stitch in the next stitch, spike double crochet in that next stitch, and then just repeat that all the way around. And then you'll end with a spike double crochet in the last stitch, which is that final marked stitch. This stitch right here is the beginning chain one. That counts as a slip stitch. So you can mark that if you want. Let's go ahead and mark it. Okay, so I'm gonna finish that all the way around and meet you and show you how we finish it off. Okay, so I finished my last slip stitch, and then we're going to work the last stitch. It will be the 60th stitch into the marked stitch down here. So it's those loose slip stitch we created. Okay. Okay. And now we're going to join with the invisible join method. So you fasten off, just leave a tail long enough to weave in, pull your tail all the way through. Okay, so the marked stitch is that first chain one that I said counted kind of as like the faux slip stitch. So we're gonna skip over that and work into that second stitch, which is the first spike double crochet. Okay, so get your needle working from the front to the back of that spike double crochet. Just insert your needle under all the stitches and pull through. We can go ahead and remove this now. Okay, that's kind of what that looks like. And then the last stitch of the round, which was the spike double crochet right here, you find the back loops only. So this right here and right here, that's the front loop, that's the back loops. So we're gonna go under the back loops only and pull that through. And then you just pull tight to create kind of a faux stitch. It should be the same size as the other stitches. So just pull until it gets about the same size, and then you just finish weaving all of the ends in. So I'm gonna do that off camera, but that's kind of what it looks like. So this is what your basket looks like. This isn't the most sturdy basket I ever created, but it is pretty sturdy. If you know, I mean, crochet baskets, they're never, you know, they always fold down a little bit typically unless you use like a jumbo yarn, but it is pretty sturdy. So I just take my hands and give it a really good shaping till it looks really nice and neat. If you want, you can take a bowl about this size and put it in there and shape really nicely around the bowl. Once you pull the bowl out, it has a really nice shape. So that's kind of what it looks like. It almost reminds me of like a basket weave design. Oh, let me show you the seam. But see how the seam, because we do those slip stitches and work into the chain spaces, the seam is almost invisible. Okay, so I'm gonna get set up and I'm gonna show you how you can put the optional handles on. Okay, so for the handles, we have this style, just kind of a little loop that I put on the smaller size basket, and I do it on each side of the basket, or I did kind of this handle on the tray size. So what I did was I took the leather strips, and for this bigger handle, I measured 7.5 inches long, and then I put a hole punch, 2 hole punches on each side of the strip, and then you want 2 of those total. For that one, because of the way it lines up like this, you have to put these little pieces on the back to keep the screws from just sliding right through the yarn. So you also need these little strips cut. So it's the same length as the strap, but line up the holes. And I don't know, I'd say that's about 1/2 inch or so, and that seemed to work. So for this kind of strap, 7.5 inches long, 2 of these, and then you'll need 4 of these little tiny pieces, and then the Chicago screws. So you'll need 8 Chicago screws total for that style, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 for this style. And so for this style, same idea, but I cut them, I think 5.5 inches. Yes, no, sorry, 5 inches. So for the smaller style, 5 inches, but the same idea, 2 holes on each side, and you need 2 total, and then 4 Chicago screws. Okay, so let me show you kind of how I put those on. So if you're just doing the little logo tag and you don't want a handle, it's just easy. You just fold it over. You can use the shorter Chicago screw for this style. You just put it through the hole, kind of find an opening in your yarn somewhere, and then you just screw it in place just like that. So for the handles, so for the shorter style, I just took the strap. Actually, I think you're gonna be able to see it better on this white basket. So I just folded it over. So let's just do the other side. So I get it even with the other side and just kind of fold it over like this. And then get a longer Chicago screw. You wanna make sure it fits through all the layers. And again, just kind of find an opening in your crochet work to put the Chicago screw through, and then you screw it on. You can screw it on with your hand, but it is much easier to use a little tiny screwdriver if you have one. Okay, and then the same thing on the other side. Again, you can use thinner strips if you want. If you use a thinner one, you might get away with just 1 Chicago screw instead of 2 on each side. I just liked the way the thicker leather looked, and that's what Michael's had available to me. So that's kind of what that looks like. For this style, just kind of like fold it over like that and get it lined up. But same idea, these just screw right in place. And then here's where you need that extra little piece because you don't have the leather holding it in place against the crochet, and the screw will just pop right out. So I think I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video that they do sell straps kind of pre-made and in kits that already come with screws and stuff, but I didn't find any I loved. And this was actually pretty affordable. I think Michael's had this package on sale for 30% off that day, so it only ended up being a few bucks and it made a bunch of straps. And I already keep the Chicago screws on hand because I use the little logo tags all the time and the decorative tags all the time. So I just found it pretty easy to make my own. I also already had a hole punch, which I think most of you crafters probably have. So I didn't have to go out and buy a ton of new supplies. So also, like always, the free pattern is always on my blog. And I have all the links for all the supplies and everything in the caption below. The free pattern will be linked in the caption below. So if you have any questions or anything, you can always write them in the comments, but I typically have everything that you need linked below. Okay, so that's kind of, you can line it up a little bit better than me, but that's kind of how I did it. And there you have it. These cute baskets and tray. The tray really is big. So let me know in the comments what you're going to use yours for. And if you have any questions, let me know. Have a nice day.